My name is Ira Myrick. I'm 70 years old. I spent 34 years building bridges for the state of West Virginia, 23 of them, including the new river span at Meadow Bridge, a 400-foot steel arch that will outlast every person who helped me design it. 1 week ago, I signed a trust that gave my son-in-law control of half my estate, $900,000. My daughter sat beside me at the table and said it was for the grandkids. 3 days later, my neighbor Hank Dawson, 79, retired sheriff's deputy, lived 4 houses down for 42 years, gripped my arm in the produce aisle of the IGA and said 5 words. That man is not who he says he is. What Hank showed me in his kitchen, and what I found in my own daughter's files, is something no father should ever have to see. Welcome back to Dad's Master Plan. This is where fathers tell the stories no one else will. If you're new here, every video is a different father and a different truth. Drop a comment below and hit subscribe. Stay for this one. You'll want to hear how it ends. I grew up on a cattle farm in Greenbrier County, youngest of 4. We baled hay before school and mended fence after. Nobody asked if you wanted to work. The work was there. You did it. I paid my way through West Virginia University on construction crews. Summers pouring footings, setting rebar, learning how concrete cures and where it cracks. Civil engineering degree, 1980. I was 24 years old and had calluses thick enough to sand a board with my bare hands. The West Virginia Division of Highways hired me at 28. I started inspecting county bridges with rust on their guardrails and cracks in their abutments. I ended up designing them. 34 years, 23 bridges, highway overpasses, creek crossings, 1 pedestrian span at a state park where the cables had to clear a waterfall. Each one a problem that needed solving with steel and math and patience. The last one was the best. The new river span at Meadow Bridge, 400-foot arch over a gorge so deep you can hear the river before you see it. My crew and I spent 3 years on that bridge. When it opened, they drove a school bus across it for the ceremony. I stood on the bank and watched the cables hold. The day I retired, my crew gave me a gift. Carl Hendricks, foreman 30 years beside me, had carved a scale model of the new river span from walnut. Every cable, every rivet, every crossbrace. It sits on my workshop desk where I can see it from the lathe. I built the family house in 1990. 4 bedrooms, 2 acres outside Lewisburg. Renovated every room with my own hands. The kitchen table I built in 1992 from white oak I milled myself. 12-foot slab, seated 8. And Margaret said it was the only piece of furniture in the house she never wanted to replace. Check the foundation first. That's the rule. Every bridge, every house, every decision. Margaret was the school secretary, Lewisburg Elementary. 28 years behind the same front desk, managing 40,000 student records and never losing one. Teachers came and went. Principals retired. Margaret stayed, and the system stayed with her because she was the system. She ran our house the same way. Bills paid on the 1st of the month. Doctor appointments in a calendar on the refrigerator door. Tax returns filed by the 2nd week of February. Every year, no exceptions. I handled lumber and concrete. Margaret handled everything else. She died 3 years ago. Stroke. Morning coffee at 7, ambulance at 7:20, gone by dinner time. The doctors used the word massive. I sat in a plastic chair in the hallway of Greenbrier Valley Medical Center and listened to a man 30 years younger than me explain that the woman who organized my entire life was gone. Her mother gave her pearl earrings at our wedding in 1978. Freshwater pearls, gold posts, nothing fancy. Margaret wore them 30 years. At Caitlin's wedding, she unclipped them and pressed them into our daughter's palm. "These go to your daughter someday," Caitlin cried. Garrett stood behind her and smiled. Before Garrett, my family was simple. Caitlin was the organizer. She got that from Margaret. Mitchell was the builder. He got that from me. Sunday dinners at the white oak table. Holidays with too much food and not enough chairs. The ordinary machinery of a family that works. After Margaret died, Caitlin became my anchor. She called every morning, She drove me to my cardiologist, my dentist, the pharmacy. She reorganized Margaret's filing system and updated my insurance. Don't worry, Dad. I've got this. I believed her. I had no reason not to. Caitlin was a CPA. Passed the exam on her first attempt at 25, which her study group said almost never happens. She worked for a firm in Charlottesville. $94,000 a year. Good benefits. A corner office by 32. My daughter could read a balance sheet the way I read a blueprint. Structure and numbers. She understood both. Her personal life was another story. A string of men who bored her or disappointed her or both. A boyfriend in college who cheated. An engagement at 28 that ended 3 months before the wedding. By 32, Caitlin had stopped talking about dating. Margaret worried quietly. I figured she'd figure it out. Then Garrett appeared, charming, confident, pressed shirts and a firm handshake, financial advisor with his own practice, drove a Lexus, knew which fork to use at a restaurant with cloth napkins, 6 months from their first date to the engagement ring. I felt something off, couldn't name it, couldn't pin it to a fact or a number or a structural flaw, just a feeling, the kind you get standing on a bridge deck that flexes a quarter-inch more than the drawings predicted. Probably nothing. Possibly everything. Margaret could name it. 2 months before she died, oxygen tank beside her recliner, she looked at me across the kitchen table and said, "Something about that man is too polished, Ira. Real people have rough edges." The wedding was beautiful. Garrett insisted on paying for everything. Margaret sat in the front row with her oxygen, pearl earrings catching the stained glass light. She held my hand during the vows. Her grip was weak, but her eyes were sharp. She died 7 weeks later. Her phrase for Garrett stayed with me. All gloss, no grain. I thought she was being protective. She was being precise. That first year, Oliver came. Caitlin was already pregnant at the wedding. Garrett had pushed for a quick ceremony. And now I understood why. A baby seals the deal, makes the exit harder. Oliver arrived in October, 7 pounds, and Caitlin quit her CPA job the same month. Garrett's idea. You don't need to work, babe. Focus on the family. She was earning $94,000 a year. She had clients who trusted her. She had a professional license that took 2 years of her life to earn. She walked away from all of it because her husband told her she didn't need it. Year 2, her friends thinned out. The college roommate who used to visit every Thanksgiving stopped calling. The book club dissolved. The Saturday hiking group found a new member to fill her spot. Garrett's people replaced them. Couples from the country club, wives of business contacts, women who talked about kitchen renovations and vacation homes. Caitlin's phone rang less. She didn't seem to notice. Year 3, Lily was born. Caitlin's calls to me dropped from weekly to bi-weekly. I told myself it was 2 kids under 3. New mothers are exhausted. It made sense. Mitchell saw it first. That guy's a salesman, Dad. He's selling himself. Mitchell is a shop teacher. He works with his hands and says what he thinks.